So this is a synopsis of the discussion that we had about this extract, which is from Stave 1. I'm going to do this quite quickly because there's going to be a sample essay uploaded as well. But this is the extract that you're writing about for your homework, which is due in after half term. So first thing that we talked about was the fog and darkness of the city. And the fact that it's thickening so that it seems quite ominous and foreboding, so that London itself, because the essay is about the depiction of London and Londoners, London itself seems quite threatening and negative. However, the people of London are shown to be full of energy. They're running, so they're energetic, and they're carrying flaring links, so flames that are lighting the way. So they're sort of full of warmth and light, and they're doing something useful. So they're proffering their services. So they're acting to try and keep themselves going in terms of earning some money, but also running and showing the way, so that actually they're looking after each other, so that they're conducting other people on their way, so that people don't get lost or hurt. So Londoners themselves are shown in quite a positive way. They're also shown to be a contrast to the weather in London. So the weather in London is cold, it's intense, it's very negative. So there's the lexis of cold also is going through this extract, but it's also contrasted with the lexis of warmth. So the great fire, you can imagine the flames roaring, and the people are there warming their hands and winking their eyes, so that physically they seem very attractive, which is in direct contrast to the negative portrayal of Scrooge in the section that we were looking at before. So they're warming their hands, winking their eyes, they're before the fire, they're in rapture, so they're full of joy and happiness and positivity. So it's a negative surrounding, it's cold and it's bleak, but they're making the most of the situation that they find themselves in. And what they've done also is they've created a positivity in the shops. So you've got the brightness of the shops contrasted with the darkness of London. So the darkness thickened, and the fog up here is contrasted to the brightness that the people themselves managed to create in their surroundings. So you've got the bright lights, but you've also got the imagined brightness. The reader imagines the brightness of the holly sprigs and the berries, so the bright fresh green and the bright red contrasting against the darkness of London itself. You've seen also that the positive trade that's going on leading up to Christmas. For the people, it's a splendid joke, it's a glorious pageant. So they're really getting into the spirit of Christmas, which again contrasts dramatically with Scrooge's attitude previously. You've also got the attitude of the Lord Mayor. So here he's giving orders to his 50 cooks and butlers to keep Christmas as a Lord Mayor's household should. So it's about plenty and abundance, which again is in direct contrast to Scrooge's mean little office, where he only allows his clerk to have one tiny little coke of coal to keep himself warm. So he's just mean, and the only joy that we saw in Scrooge was when he turned down the two portly gentlemen, so he wouldn't give them any money for the charitable collection that they were doing. So there's another direct contrast there. So we go back to London up here. We've talked about the darkness and the fog and the mystery. There's a sort of a Gothic atmosphere, and even the window is actually described as being Gothic up here. But what's really interesting is that the ancient tower, so the tower of the church, so almost as if it's God himself peeping down and watching Scrooge and silently judging him, so that we imagine that if Scrooge doesn't change his ways, what's going to happen to him at the end of his life is going to be entirely negative. There's also this sense of foreboding, as if something really awful is going to happen. So you've got tremulous vibration. So tremulous kind of means shivering, shaking, almost with nerves and its teeth are chattering in its frozen head. So not only is it cold as well, but it's almost as if its teeth are chattering in fear. So this personification of the church and the bell is as if, it's so fearful of Scrooge's behaviour and what the results of that behaviour might be, that it's shivering with fear and cold up there in the church tower. And that's pretty much it. That's what we talked about. So personification and the contrast between dark and light, the contrast between the people of London and the misery of London itself. London is described as having misanthropic ice, and we talked about what misanthropic meant, that misanthropic is about people hating. So there is this sense that London is against the people that live in it, but they are managing to be cheerful and optimistic despite the surroundings that they find themselves in. So they're making the best of it, and we can admire them for that. As readers, we can admire them and contrast them to Scrooge, who we immediately dislike and disapprove of.